Katie, how do we help set students up for success in Indiana?
So previously, students were graduating with just a Core 40 diploma. Students now have an opportunity to go into different graduation requirements, and one of those is CT, or Career and Technical Education. So students can earn that industry recognized certification and gain that real life experience through work-based learning rotations prior to even graduating.
Welcome to this edition of the Hoel Truth Podcast. Today, special guest is Katie with KLR Medical Certification Training School. And you may say, what the hell do we have Katie here today for? Been talking a lot with the high school, kind of really just, I'm kind of on a kick here lately of like, how are we preparing these young adults to get out in the real world? And, you know, there's been a massive shift in more private, more homeschooling. And I really feel like the public school has finally started making a shift because they've got to be more appealing, you know. And I'll be the first one to say that I'm a massive supporter of the public school, but complete transparency, my kids go to private school for a reason. Yeah. You know, so your name was brought up by a couple, the high school principal and vice principal, and you were gracious enough to say yeah. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we're just going to kind of talk about what all, because you're doing more than medical training, what all you guys do.
Yeah, so my name is Katie Reigelsperger. I'm the CEO and founder of KLR Medical Certification Training School, and we are running, in addition to adult education programs across the country, we have CTE, or Career and Technical Education programs across the state of Indiana, and we are teaching classes like pharmacy, medical assisting, dental, vet sciences, principles of healthcare, anatomy and physiology, accounting fundamentals, principles of business, and marketing fundamentals. So you work with Rushville with a few things, and they're expanding to go into next year. Is that correct? Yes. So Rushville is a new partner this year. We're really excited to bring them on and work with them. They've been awesome. And so this year they are participating in our vet and dental programs. And then next year they are going to expand to the remainder of our programs, including our business. So
you were kind of telling me before we hit record, kind of how it's structured is there's some Zoom meetings with your organization, and then the majority of it is they're out in the real world actually working to get real world experience.
That's correct. So students will generally start with us in their 11th grade year or their junior year. They are going to meet with our instructors via Zoom in a blended learning environment, our instructor and the assistant in that classroom, and they're mastering all the knowledge that they need to know to take and pass the national exam and earn their credentials in their area of interest, so whichever one that is. That first year, they're also going to participate in CPR and first aid training with our American Red Cross certified instructors, our annual Skills Day event, which is coming up in November, and a couple of other things based on what class you are. When they come back as seniors, they're going to participate in work-based learning rotations, allowing it to be that graduation pathway with the new Indiana graduation guidelines and requirements. And so we are partnered with employers all across the state, and students are going to go during their school day and earn those hours, again, allowing it to be that graduation pathway.
And then that is also, they're paid? Are them paid?
They are not paid. Okay. So this is, these are unpaid hours during the school day, but students are earning credits for them. So they're earning 6 credits per year towards their graduation. Okay.
So just to kind of bring people up to speed, I believe it's the freshmen that are currently in school this year. They're in high school. They're for the Indiana. There's kind of 3 different career paths they can, not career paths, but 3 different paths they can take through high school, which is university, work, or
service.
Yeah, service.
Yep.
So you're kind of filling that void to kind of help.
Correct.
With that. Okay.
Correct. So CTE has grown massively across the country, but here in Indiana as well. And so for those who might not be familiar, Indiana recently changed the way that it sees education. And instead of graduating with a Core 40 diploma like you or I may have, students are required to check certain boxes, and this allows them to do that.
So how did you come up with this? Like, I mean, it's awesome. Like we were kind of talking before, and I'm asking all of these business nerdy questions. Like I love, what I enjoy is talking to creators, like, and we've been through some training as a company, and a good friend of mine, he talks about like we create our life, and, we create our lives when we're stupid and we do stupid stuff that we shouldn't do, but we can also create our life, as we officially are recording this podcast. Our company's 8 years old today. So like, it's kind of cool to look back of like what me and my wife have been honored to create, So how did you create this? Like I guess you probably started in medical since the name says medical, but take a minute to tell us about that.
Yeah. So if you are familiar with the Excel Center, it's a non-traditional high school for adults here in Indiana and across the country. I am actually a graduate of the Excel Center in Anderson from 2014. And while I was at the Excel Center, part of their graduation requirements allow you to earn an industry recognized certification. And so I earned my pharmacy technician certification while I was at the Excel Center. A week after graduation, I went on to work at CVS Pharmacy, where I worked my way up from lead technician and inventory specialist. And then a few months later, accepted a position at Riverview Health, a small local hospital in Noblesville, Indiana, and their inpatient pharmacy, where I continued to grow my role. In 2016, I became the pharmacy technician supervisor. And in 2018, the Excel Center said, hey, do you want to teach pharmacy technician class? And I said, I'm not a teacher. I have no clue what you're talking about. But they believed in me. And so I started teaching for adult education just in the pharmacy world in 2018. That quickly grew into multiple different states and a couple of other courses that we teach for adult education. But 3.5 years ago, we were approached by Hamilton County Schools, and they asked us if we would like, and their new career center, which is the Pursuit Institute, or TPI, and they asked us if we would like to pilot a pharmacy technician course for CTE, which is a totally different sector, than adult education. And so we started that. It went so well that a couple of months later, they said, hey, you want to do medical assisting? And a few months after that, they said, you want to jump into dental? And then we added vet. And since then, like I said, we have added multiple different courses, 27 different schools across the state.
So, we were talking a little bit earlier, and I mentioned Dave Ramsey, and, me and my wife have really grasped his concepts. We live it in our personal life, our business, and in life, there's challenges, and that's really what mold us and make us, who you are. So without I've only known you for 15 minutes, so I'm not going to dig up all the dirt in the world, but you did share, some of your childhood with me earlier. So, I mean, it's, you ended up in that Excel program for a reason. For a reason, and I guess share as much of that as you're kind of comfortable with, because I'm completely putting you on the spot here.
I have been all over the country telling the same story, so I am fully comfortable talking about it. So I grew up with parents who were drug addicts and alcoholics, and with little to no support at home. I found myself pregnant with my first child when I was 13. My dad unenrolled me from school at the end of 8th grade with promises to the school district that I would be homeschooled. Not something he ever planned on actually doing. And for the next couple of years, while I learned to navigate motherhood and figure out who I was as a mother, I checked out books from the local library, and I studied to take my GED test, which I did take when I turned 16. I passed that, and I thought that was going to change my life and my child's life, right? But I quickly learned that society had a different idea in mind as to what it meant to be educated. And I continued to work dead-end jobs, really struggling to make ends meet, no job security, no benefits. And I gave birth to my second child when I was 18. And at that point, I was just in a hole that I didn't know how to get out of. And it's a lot easier to dig yourself a hole than it is to get out of. And so that continued for years and years. And I was taking my kids to a martial arts lesson several years later and heard somebody talking about this high school for adults. And I'm a nosy person by nature, but jumped right into their conversation. And I thought it was too good to be true. I honestly had looked for opportunities like that years prior and found nothing. And so I was enrolled into the Excel Center in Anderson, Indiana the very next day. I earned 42 credits and 2 certifications, graduated with a 3.8 GPA and the top of my class in honors. And so, you know, that's kind of how my storyline kind of unfolded. And from there, kind of like I said previously, from there, my connection with the Excel Center allowed me to start my own company, and we've consistently grown since then. So I'm incredibly thankful.
No, that's awesome. And what you shared, you know, before we hit, you know, roll on the camera is like both your kids work with you. And that's so cool, because like what people don't understand as like business owners is like, you know, the really successful ones, like they do it for a reason. Like we've all got to make money. There's nobody that hides behind that, or most of nobody, but it's like, it's when there's that passion of like, this really changed my family tree. You know, it's just, it's easier to get behind that. And to me, it would be so easy to get behind your mission and be like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, like I'm thinking, okay, how can I support you guys right now? And you know, so that's,
well, you are.
Yeah. And that's awesome, because, you know, when I was in school, you know, and this offends some people, I'm going to say it, like, you were looked down if you weren't going to a 4-year university.
Absolutely. And college is not for everyone.
Right. And, you know, and my dad raised me as a single parent most of my life. I was 2, my brother was 3, my sister was 8 when our mother decided, after a bankruptcy and a divorce, that told my dad, give him up for adoption. I don't want to raise, you know, and, you know, and that's why I'm so compassionate about the Dave Ramsey, the debt free, like, you know, looking back, like that all molded me, you know. Absolutely. I'm thankful for it. But still, you know, so to me, it's a lot easier, you know. Roofing is just a kind of an outlet, I guess, to be able to give back with the generosity and, you know, everything that Dave talks about, you know. But it's cool to me when you cross paths with people, you know, and what a lot of people that look at successful people really don't understand is like we've been through a lot of shit that nobody, like, I mean, my heart broke when you say you found yourself pregnant at 13. Like, you know, because like earlier you're telling me your kid's his age, and I'm like, holy cow, she's aged really well. I was like, so then when you tell the story, it's like, okay, the math is adding up, you know, and you know, and you went through dead end jobs, like you figured it out, like that. It's the American dream. The American dream isn't on a silver platter like a lot of people. Like a lot of people maybe, you know, think it is, or, you know.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been doing this?
We just celebrated 7 years.
Awesome.
This month, September 30th.
Awesome.
So just celebrated 7 years. So really excited about that. And we just continue to grow.
So how much is it adult learning compared to, like, I guess you call it student learning?
Yeah. So we hold our adult education courses for all the 28 states that we teach in. They all meet together via Zoom. That component does not have the work-based learning to it. It is just an accelerated class. They're earning their certification so that they can go out and immediately hit the workforce.
Okay.
That is generally anywhere from, I would say, 50 to 110 students every 8 weeks, 5 times a year.
Okay.
Across the country. And then our CTE students are obviously, they're high school students. And so that's going to be a year at a time, a school year, just like any other school. And we currently have 327 students this year across the state, which has grown rapidly from last year where we were at 155. And the year prior, we were like 70. So we've continued to grow those numbers.
Well, what I've noticed, and we sponsor several schools in this general area with the Dave Ramsey financial class. So getting to know more than teachers, and like even our construction class at Rushville, like I think the number doubled or tripled from last year.
Yeah,
like the teacher
awesome.
Texts me, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these kids, you know. But it just shows kind of the shift in, you know, like I said, people are finally realizing
Yes.
that not everybody is made for school. And also, and I'm not trying to harp on the public schools. Like it's also like we've got to pay attention to like how the kids are taught. Like the reason my kids go to a private school is like, it's crazy. They have three recesses a day. Like, you know, they're 6, 8, and 10. Like, you know, especially my boy should be running around and be exhausted. Like, you know, we were talking before we hit roll also of like, we need boys to be men, you know, girls to be women, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's when I step back and I look and I see that kind of stuff, like it brings relief to me that, you know, as somebody that hires people, that, you know, there are organizations out there that are focused on that. So like, if somebody's interested in their school district to do this, like where does that even start at? Like when you're pursuing new customers, I mean, your customers are the school districts. Yep. Like, how's that look? I'll call it a sales cycle because I'm in sales. Yep. I run a company, but like, how does that cycle look for you guys?
So when we're looking for new partnerships, which we're consistently doing, we are just reaching out over and over again until we can get a contact and get a meeting set up. And then from there, it's really easy. If a school's interested, we sign an MOU. We obviously go through all the basics, right? We're going to send them our insurance and our MOU with all the nitty-gritty details that are going to go into serving their students. And then from there, our open enrollment starts in November. They can enroll students into our classes. Sometimes based on the location, we have to say, okay, we can only take 5 vet students in this area, or we can take, 27 medical assistant students in this area. And that's based on how many partners we have in order for students to go in and participate in that work-based learning. So the process is really easy. And we had most of our schools, right? Like you generally have a drop date or a date where your registration needs to be done. We did not do that. We tried to do that. And so that would have worked out great. But we had a couple of schools who said classes started August 11th. And we had a school that said on August 8th, hey, we just heard about you guys. Can we have a meeting? Can we set this up? And we've got 10 students to send you. Right. And so we did. And it worked out perfectly. They've been a really great partner. And we're excited to have their students. And so it's an easy process, honestly. It's, hey, let's talk. How can we serve your students? What are you looking for? And so a lot of the times schools will say, oh, well, I already have, a pharmacy program, or I already have a medical assisting program. And there's a couple of things we can do there. One is a lot of times those are in their brick and mortar. And so space is an issue, right? And how many students you can accept is an issue. And so some of our schools will say, okay, we already have pharmacy, but we can only fill 10 spots for that pharmacy, and we've got 20 kids who want to do it. And so they can send the other ones to us. The other really cool thing about our program that schools are loving is that we're going to, because we bring all these schools together to do these programs. And so you no longer have to have a cohort, right? Like a number for a cohort. And so if, Grant Regional has one pharmacy student in their entire district, they can still send them, as opposed to trying to hire a pharmacy teacher for 30 students. Yep. And so that's been a really good way to map things out and to support the schools as well.
So funding is always an issue when it comes to schools. So I'm just going to kind of ask the white elephant question. Is the state government, are they good at funding your kind of stuff, or like what's that look like?
So a lot of the funding, I don't do a lot of that. The schools kind of do that in the backside, but the state does have a new program called the CSA program, which is Career Scholarship Account, and that is growing from the last 2.5 years when I learned about it. I don't know if that's when they just opened, but Parker Zent and the CSA team over there, his team, are amazing. Awesome. I send schools to him pretty much weekly. Yep. And they are through the state, and so students can, from what I understand, they can get a certain amount for the school year for CTE courses.
Okay.
And so it also allows them to do things like purchase their scrubs sometimes, or they do have a transportation portion that would allow, if they have to fill out certain paperwork for it. But the CSA program is what we are primarily going through for our students. The schools sign up and they sign the students up, so I don't really have much to do with that. We bill CSA because we're a CSA approved provider, which we have to, make sure we're meeting certain standards for, and then we bill them quarterly and they pay out. So that's been a great opportunity. CTE is growing, our career and technical education, like you said, is growing so much in this country and especially in Indiana. And so the state is really coming up with different ways and different funding for the schools to be able to participate in that, because like you said, college isn't for everybody. And I have students who, aren't interested in college. They want to go to, into the workforce immediately. But I also have a lot of students who are going to college and they're using this as their stepping stone. And so it can be used and utilized either way. It's all about what the students put into it.
Well, and like your scenario, like you need to be able to go get a job, unfortunately at that age, my dad pushed me like, hey, my dad went back to college after 2 back surgeries and trying to farm full time.
Yeah.
You're going to go to technical college, and then after that, I don't care what you do. So I was kind of brainwashed that I was going to go get an associate's degree. I kind of laughed. My wife's degree from Ivy Tech is in medical assisting, and mine's in environmental engineering. So
look at you guys now.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like, what's that has to do?
Surely, I'm sure you learned something
company
that you can utilize,
right.
and I think one of the biggest things that we're focused on, right? I can all day long, I say, we can teach them pharmacy until they're black and blue in the face, right? I can teach them pharmacy until they know it like the back of their hands. But at KLR, we're more focused on the soft skills that employers are looking for that we are not talking enough about at home or at school. And those soft skills are, all the way down to, can you write a professional email? Can you stay off your phone? What's with the kids and these phones these days? Can you show up on time and ready to work? Do you look professional? Can you work well with others? Can you work well by yourself? Do you have integrity? All of the little things that these students are going to need, right? We're not just preparing them for pharmacy or medical assisting or nursing down the road. We're preparing them to be professionals and to be citizens of our communities and good ones at that. And so those soft skills are what we are most focused on. And I think at the end of the day, if we can have them walk away with those soft skills and be professionals, then I honestly, I want them to learn pharmacy, but I am much more interested in those soft skills that we are teaching them.
Yeah, amen. Like, can't stay off phone. Like, some people can't, okay, I know every week these 3 things need done. Like, you shouldn't stand around and be told that, hey, go do that. And I've even kind of watched it going, me and my wife always try to go into the different schools with the Dave Ramsey class, meet the teacher,
That's
talk
awesome.
to the kids, and literally every teacher is like, what do you look for? And I always stand up there and I say, make sure you can look people in the eyes and not just,
stay off your phone.
Literally put your phone away, show up early. Don't show
You're
up.
not 10 minutes early or late.
The little things, and it's and be willing to stay late, whatever that looks like, and work when you're at work. It's
and I would say we've got high standards for the students, and I plan to keep it that way. We're holding them to the highest standards that we can. We are making sure that those expectations are being met, because at the end of the day, you can be the best medical assistant or the best dental assistant, the best vet technician that you can be. You can know everything about it, but if you can't do these things, you are useless to any team. Right. And that's all there is to it. And so for our students, if one no call, no show is grounds for immediate termination from the program, even seeing, if your preceptor even sees your cell phone, it's grounds for immediate termination, no questions asked. And we have to take care of our employers, right? So students are going to come in every single year. If an employer drops my program because students couldn't stay off their phone and they couldn't show up on time, they're probably not going to come back. And so that means that several students later on don't get the same opportunity. And so we're really holding them to high expectations. And
I'm trying to tell all these kids, I just had the opportunity. So Connorsville has the Whitewater Technical Career Center, and that's where some people could go. when I was in high school and I got the chance to go talk to their class, one of our sales reps' wife works over there, and she's kind of in charge of the kids that do school to work, and they've got to come in, I think, once a month for a couple hours. And, and she told me, she's like, these are like the requirements. And she's like, about half of them, turn that in. And some of them is just their timesheets. And I mean, it's real simple stuff, but she's like, give them, talk to them. Well, she was nice enough to set it up. The first class I went in at the end of the class, and the second class I was there at the beginning. So I was there for my time as minimal as possible. Mm-hmm. And the second class, I heard her say, okay, guys, like, we need to make sure this, and this is in. And so I just kind of started my talk with the second class of like, hey, guys, if you can't do that, don't be going out trying to get a job.
Exactly.
Like, the little stuff she's asking you to do, turn in your timesheet, whatever.
Those are basic things. Yeah. If you can't do them, you're not going to have a job anywhere.
Well, and I try to tell the kids, unfortunately, the bar is getting lower, but it's so much easier to stand out. Like if you do show up, like, I mean, my 10-year-old, I could go throw him on a skid loader right now and tell him to go move dirt from here to wherever. And like, he goes and does it. And sometimes I make him like try to figure stuff out and he gets aggravated with me. I was like, bud, I promise you, one day you're going to understand, like, and I keep telling him, you've got to try, you're going to mess up. He's starting to show cattle. And I was just talking to a friend earlier. And, when you're showing them, you want them to look as perfect as you can. And, you want them square with the other calf and, whatever.
Don't cut corners.
And it's funny because the first show he went to, he didn't know what he was doing. And he should have walked, this calf was like this. He should have walked this calf like that. He takes his in like this. And now we joke about it because now he's went and won some showmanship at a couple shows because now he understands what he's doing. Yep. But I keep telling him, like, you've got to fail. Like, I'm the crazy psycho dad that I bought him Think and Grow Rich Kids Edition. And I'm like, read it book and tell me what you're learning. And it's so funny. He's like, Dad, I got to practice and I got to fail and I got to be willing to do it wrong.
Heck yeah.
And I was like, bro, like, I called a good buddy of mine that's an entrepreneur. And I'm like, man, I know these things are sinking in, but like, I'm like, he's going to be so far ahead when he gets to be 18, 20 years old.
That's awesome.
Because he's like, you've got to try maybe a class that doesn't work or.
Yeah. And these are exploratory classes, right? So we're not expecting, an 11th grader to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives. But we are expecting you to come in and work hard and meet requirements and expectations, and you're going to be professional and respectful, and you're going to, turn in your work, and you're going to put your face in the screen, and you're going to shake someone's hand and look them in the eye and show up on time, etc. And so again, if they can do these things in 11th grade, let's see where they're at. Now we don't have kids running around at 19 and 20 years old with no plan in mind, because again, if you're not going to college, well, what are you going to do? Right? And even if you are going to college, you probably need to work your way through college. So this is a great stepping stone for you.
Well, and that's something else that me and my wife have always tried to say when we go in. And I mean, we've been going in these high school classes 4, 5, 6 years
That's
now.
Awesome.
And I always love to hear her talk because she went to Ivy Tech. She had some friends that went to IU and Ball State and Purdue, and she'll tell the story that she feels like she was left out, or she was kind of looked down upon by a part of her friend group because she wasn't going to a big university, and I mean, the poor girl, she's here running the business almost every day now. But the reason we did the Dave Ramsey stuff was she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I always tell these girls this, I'm like, I know your parents don't want you thinking as a 17 or 18-year-old about being a mom, but I'm telling you, like, don't go get $100,000 in debt for a degree because you get married at 25, 26 and to start deciding to have kids, like, there seems to be a shift in more stay-at-home moms, which once again I think it's fantastic. Yes. And the workplace has shifted a little bit where you can do some work from home, and maybe grandma can help watch a couple of days a week and that kind of stuff. But no, that's the soft skills, I preach until I'm blue.
You need them everywhere.
Yes.
Even if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, and that is a hard job,
Yes.
and one of the most important out there. You're going to use all of these skills that you're learning right now to manage your home and your family life, and those are huge. So the soft skills they're utilized in every single area of our lives. And if we can teach the students that, and we can hold them accountable and help them gain that confidence in those areas, they're going to soar in any area that they want to go into.
Well, and that's another thing we stress, like, just go to work, because like, even if you come and, let's say one day we get an accounting student from you guys and they're just here 6 months or a year, but like, they show up, put their work in, and then like, they're ready to move on to that next step.
Yes.
Like, what a lot of these kids need to understand and remember is, like, business owners talk with business owners. So it's like, if somebody came in and did accounting for me for a year and showed up every day, was early, had a smile, like, was professional, and then they decided to go work for an accounting firm that maybe I'm working with in the business, like, oh yeah, kudos, man. They work their ass off. I wish I had a better position for them to stay here. Like, that's kind of the importance. And especially like small towns, it's completely hilarious that you're literally a neighbor. You live a mile from me, and I was like, how did you end up there? And you're like, I wanted to go in the middle of nowhere.
I just wanted to have some peace.
And, but it's such a small business, is huge, but it's so small also. And that's why I've tried to be intentional of like working with the high school, because we made this connection. And like, I believe that you just never know. I mean, they're building the dog food plant right here north of Rushville. We're actually doing a couple of the roofs already, less than a year old. That's awesome. And because the original roofer didn't do it right and won't come back and fix it. And I walk in there, and the guy that's the head safety guy coached my little brother in football, and I've roofed his son's house, and I'm friends with his son, so it's like, and because my crew that's working there is like, hey, how's it going to be with the safety and stuff here? I was like, oh, that guy's great. Like, so the relationship that I built 15, 20 years ago with him, 25 years ago. Holy cow, that's crazy to say out loud. It pays off. And I guess that's another thing that we need to make sure we're teaching these kids, like how they act and what they do. Like, you're not going to judge them for what they did in high school. However, like, you've got to realize that there's consequences in life.
Absolutely.
Also.
And I think with the, social media and cell phones, I think kids are in a very, very hard area where they forget that no matter, what you do and what you post and all the things that are being recorded they're always going to be there somewhere. Right. So I'm just so glad we didn't grow up in that era. So,
well, and I was like, we're hiring for an office admin, and that's the first place that I go to.
Yeah.
And then I see mutual friends. And then I literally just had a guy send me a potential sales rep to work for me. And then we interview somebody in the office admin position that's mutual friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we just had a conversation yesterday.
You don't want to hire somebody who you look at their social media and they're bad-mouthing their employer, or they're just not, promoting themselves well. And it says a lot about you. It's a first impression. Yep. So we talk about those things with our students all the time.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's just, it's funny because in this world that I'm in, like, what I've learned in life is like, people will tell you who they are if you'll just listen long enough. And one thing that I've struggled with is, I always want to show grace and, be thoughtful maybe, and maybe give maybe a little extra grace, but it's like, okay, I need to start remembering the first time you told me who you were.
I struggle with that same thing. I wonder if that's just a human thing, because I'm the same way. But I think you're right. 100%.
I think we just want the best for people, and know, maybe see the best in people, see their potential, So what is there any new curriculum coming down the pipe? Like, what's the vision? What's it look like in 1 to 5 years?
So we are piloting our accounting program this year. And so that will go live for all of our schools next year. We're really excited to really grow this business program. Not sure if I'll have to change the name of the company yet, but we are getting kind of out of just that medical field. To be honest, we've been asked if we can do construction and welding. I'm like, do I look like I know anything about welding? So the opportunities are endless, honestly, with CTE. Right now, we are really focused on growing in different regions. And so the Fort Wayne, Northern Indiana area, and then the Missouri area is kind of where we're starting out. And so we're really excited to see what we can do there and grow in those areas. And really just building those partnerships. So we are consistently trying to build new partnerships for opportunities for our students. And so always looking for, vet offices, dental offices, doctors' offices and hospitals, pharmacies. And now with the business program, we'll have that business capstone that seniors will go into. And so, local businesses that are interested in having an intern and in working with students and really taking them under their wing to teach them not just, hey, I want to own maybe I want to own a coffee company,
right,
or my own coffee shop one day. Well, I want them to see every single part of it. I want them to see the IT and the finances. I want them to talk with the cleaning company. I want them to talk with the vendors that we order supplies from. I want them to interact with the customers, and then I want them to go out and help network that company, right? I want them to see the whole portion of it, because there's so much that goes into running a company. And so that business program is going to be really exciting, but always looking for additional partners and really hoping that, more and more people, as they hear about us, they're coming on board and they're seeing how we're holding the students accountable. And it's a great way to have a steady pipeline of talented and trained at no cost to you, right, individuals that you can pull from. And so I think as more and more people join, as employer partners, that's going to be really a big game changer for us, because the more employer partners we have, the more students we can offer the programs to.
So so the business nerd here, you said earlier something about marketing. Like what does that look like? Because I feel like that's probably a piece that small business struggles with the most. Like some people would be like, how have you guys grown as big as you guys have, as fast as you have? But I've got Adam behind, the mic, or behind the camera. And Adam's more my tech guy, videographer. He's kind of got that niche, loves that kind of stuff. And the cool part is, like, he's homegrown here in Rush County.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be able to employ him, and he's using his talents 3-4 blocks away from his home,
Yeah.
But I think that's marketing. I feel like is probably what most small businesses struggle with, because you got to keep the leads coming in, so what is that? And I'm asking one in a complete selfish way, because what's the potential of somebody working with you guys down the road? But how does that look? Kind of what's your vision there, and how long have you done the marketing part?
So we have an awesome director of marketing and event planning. So Candace handles all that side for us. And prior to that was kind of just me. We've worked a lot off of word of mouth. And so, like I said, we started with the Excel Center. The Excel Center has, I want to say, 27 Excel centers just in Indiana.
Okay.
And so then as those grew, they just introduced me to different states. And from that, other schools for adult education came in. We were open to the public, and so Workforce Ready Grant, Next Level Jobs, and Work Ones, things like that. But then for our CTE program, again, it's been word of mouth. And so we started with Hamilton County Schools. There's 6 schools in Hamilton County, and then all of a sudden somebody said something to Tipton, and right. Then Perry County, which is 3.5 hours away from us, and then Rushville. We were talking to, I don't remember what his name is, but we talked to somebody. I was looking at, maybe purchasing a place in town. And I was just going to rent out the apartments in it. And I mentioned what we do, and he was like, oh, let me get you in contact with the principal, and that's been a huge opportunity for us and a great partnership. Mm-hmm. Lauren and Liz are awesome.
Yep.
And so a lot of it's been word of mouth. We're always looking for, videographers and photographers for our events. And so we've been really lucky to have some people who are willing to come in and do those things for us. I know it's time consuming for our events. And then, things like, we've got the mayor speaking at our event in November, the mayor of Hamilton County, Noblesville of Hamilton County, for our Hamilton County students. And so we're hoping to have, the Hamilton County Reporter there. Yep. and stuff like that, just to so that's kind of what we're working on as far as marketing. But a lot of it, honestly, and I think that you could probably agree as a business owner, word of mouth is huge, right? And I always tell my team, I'm like, guys, if we do 100 things perfect, one person might say something. But if we do one thing wrong, 100 people are going to say something. And so that's just really how word of mouth works. And, Google reviews and, parents talking to other parents and students talking to other students. And so we've been really lucky to have that be able to just kind of be a domino effect.
Well, and we live and die by Google reviews in the construction space, and I also stress to my sales guys, like, what is your ideal client? Because if you show up at a customer's house and they've badmouthed the last 4 contractors, guess who the 5th contractor is going to be,
Exactly.
And, we make mistakes. We're humans. Just great guy I dealt with a couple weeks ago on a job. He's like, hey, you know what? He's like, you came here and you did what I asked. He's like, I'm not going to say a bad word to anybody. I appreciate you coming back and taking care of
those are the kind of people we need.
Yeah, what I was concerned with, and like, I think most people realize, like, everybody's human,
Absolutely.
and what I've also learned just in life is when somebody's in a bad mood, if it's me or somebody else, it usually has nothing to do with who they're lashing out at. It's something, completely
Everybody's
different.
Everybody's going through something you don't know anything about.
Yeah. So, so is the focus more on the adult learning for you guys moving forward, or, the student learning?
It's really evenly split. So, our adult education programs aren't going anywhere. Like I said, we are partnered with Goodwill and the Excel Center and multiple other schools across the country. And so that is, how we started, and we'll keep that. And it's one that we love. It's a completely different sector, right? And so it's really cool to be able to help somebody have a second chance at a high school diploma and a career that they're interested in, and it's changing lives, right? Just to make sure that they can have a career that they are able to support their families with and be proud of is a big deal. And so we do really enjoy that. The CTE side is growing rapidly, and so like I said, we're working on, starting in a different region, and where we will start KLR completely over, all new instructors, all new staff, because we can't take on, a whole nother region in right. Missouri or northern Indiana with the instructors that we have here in central and southern Indiana. And so, again, the opportunities are endless, but I think with both, really, it's going to be evenly split.
Right. So, do you have a website, like if somebody's watching this and, is interested, like what's their best avenue to get a hold of you guys?
Yep. So www.klronlinecertifications.com. So it's KLR Online Certifications with an S at the end.com. There is a contact us button, and so you can reach out to us there. You can also follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the places. And we were interested in, like I said, additional partners for students, additional schools. We'd love to serve the students. And then, like I said, we're open to the public as well. Even homeschool students, we're open to, we've got several homeschool students this year. And so students, again, can utilize that CSA funding that we talked about for those CTE programs. And they're able to take these courses and take advantage of that opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah. So, thank you for your time. I get excited just because, like, the one thing a lot of business owners complain about is lack of talent, and I've, about the last year and a half, I'm like, okay, what can I do to help to hopefully bring out, hundreds of good talent from the local schools, and hopefully I fortunately snag up 3 or 4 of them for myself,
Yep.
So like, to me, I love to see that shift. I love to see, what you're saying is, I think every small business owner that hears this is like, oh my gosh, yes, I need some of the people that she's put through her training, to come and work for me, So what else can we do to kind of support you to help get your name out? What else can we do to help?
Well, I think this podcast is really great, and I think what you're doing is awesome, kind of, bringing awareness to different things around Rushville and Rush County. I think that's awesome. So we are so thankful to be a part of this. And really, just like you said, we talked about Jackman's Animal Clinic, and, putting in a good word there for, when we go out to discuss a partnership for the vet students at Rushville, and, just any of those opportunities. If you're at a school and you recognize that a school could use a program like this, or could supplement even, we talked about with a program like this, that's always helpful. And The easiest way to do that is always an email introduction, right? So it's easy to say, oh, I talked to so-and-so, go ahead and call them, right? But it's so much easier when it is, hey, here is this person's contact in this email, wanted to introduce you, and it just makes it so much easier to kind of start that conversation and get that ball rolling. So we're getting ready to start open enrollment for the 2026-27 school year, and interested in adding more schools and more partners at all times.
Awesome. So as we wrap up, I mean, thank you for your heart. Thank you for sharing this. And I really hope that this is one of the highest viewed podcasts we do, just because genuinely, like, it can help. And, you know, we reach anywhere from hour to hour and a half from here, you know, is our reach for business that we do. Yeah. So there's a lot of schools in there, you know, and I think all small businesses are struggling. I mean, this is such a needed thing.
Everybody is short-staffed.
Yeah. And I mean, and just, you know, thank you for your heart. Thank you for what you put in there. And I mean it, like, any way we can help, you know, we're most definitely here to help. So Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.